Thank you.
Ivan Lewis.
Thank you, Sir Roger. It's always good to see you in the chair. I'd like to begin by congratulating the honourable member for Sutton and Cheam, not just on securing this important debate, but his excellent opening contribution. And also want to pay tribute to my honourable friend, the member for Dudley North, for the work that he's been doing on this issue over a long period of time. But most of all, I think, as other honourable members have said, we should thank the Cystic Fibrosis Trust, families up and down the country who have come together in such a passionate and effective way to ensure that this House takes this issue of life and death as seriously as it needs to. I want at the outset to acknowledge that it's entirely right, Sir Roger, that we have a system in place which objectively determines the effectiveness and relative value for money of new drugs. And this is a policy area where we should seek maximum consensus across the political divide in the national interest and the long-term interests of patients and their carers. NICE do a difficult job in very challenging circumstances, and in no way should we, or do we today, seek to undermine their work. However, any system of this nature, through pressure of work, changing evidence, and on occasions a lack of nimbleness and flexibility, can get it wrong, or delay decisions when there is frankly no time to waste. And sometimes pharma companies seek unreasonable commercial arrangements which have to be challenged. I'm not saying so in this case, but it's very important we understand that it does happen, and we have a responsibility always to make sure that we get fair value for money. As it's been said, it's also true that the present system has insufficient flexibility to take account of the true benefits of a portfolio approach. And as other honourable members have both said, and we can judge by their contributions today, we may be politicians, Sir Roger, but we're also citizens whose human instincts are to speak up for people with life-threatening and life-limiting conditions. In any debate, we should ask the question, what support would we expect if a member of our family or close personal friend was denied life-enhancing or saving treatment? We wouldn't want to listen to arguments about why that was simply not possible, Sir Roger. I first became aware of Orkambi as an issue when a young constituent and her mother came to my constituency surgery. Alex is 10 years old and suffers from cystic fibrosis. She's a remarkable girl whose courage and positivity is truly inspirational. I think that would apply to many of the young people that we're here to talk about today. This is maybe a graphic example of what can happen very quickly, however. Alex started this year with 80% lung function, a number which understandably scared her mum, Emma, at the time, because a few months previously it was over 100%. These days, Sir Roger, Emma would give anything to see that number 80 again. Alex's lung function continues to drop and is now around the 54 to 56% mark. Alex has physio and takes a large amount of medication just to manage the condition. She has intravenous antibiotics every 3 months, and as other honourable members have rightly said, her daily life is inevitably dominated by her drug and physio regime. So this is a quality of life issue on a day-to-day basis, as well as a health issue. Sadly, Alex now has irreparable lung damage, Sir Roger. Recently, her consultant advised that they're running out of options with regard to the medication and explained that if Alex was a year older, and this demonstrates how random some of the decisions can be, her parents would be able to apply for Orkambi on compassionate grounds, as her lung function has deteriorated more than 25% in less than 3 months. However, compassionate use in the United Kingdom is only used when a patient is extremely ill, and NICE are not scheduled to look at Orkambi, as we know, again until July of 2019. But we know that early use enables better management of the condition and reduces further complications. Emma and Alex contacted me because they can't afford to wait another year to get this drug on compassionate grounds. And I would say to the Minister and others, we talk a lot about the centrality of prevention and early intervention. The reality is, when we make decisions like this, we do the opposite. And when public services face the kind of financial pressures they're facing these days, whether it be local government services or the NHS, what happens is they resort actually to fulfilling core functions, statutory functions, and it's almost a nonsense to talk about, in the real world, a shift to prevention and early intervention. This is an example where it really, in a very direct way, is absolutely crucial. It is understandable that Emma is frustrated that her daughter has spent her entire life fighting to stay well, and now she's having to fight for a drug that could help her feel better. For Alex, as I said, Orkambi would mean slowing the decline in her lung function, giving her control of her condition and a better quality of life. As Emma, her mum, movingly says, Alex has a real love for life, and all she wants to do is live a long and happy life without having to fight to breathe. And I would say this about disabled children and their families more generally. I used to coin a phrase which is, why do we have to constantly fight the system when we should have a right to have a system which is on our side? Now, Sir Roger, I've been involved working with disabled people for about 35 years, and I'm sad to say that is the reality for most families with disabled children today. And it's been a reality under successive governments, although we have tried to improve investment, and certainly we've made progress on things like stigma and recognising that disabled children should have the right to fulfil their potential and be treated like any other. But this constant battle every single day, when you have enough to cope with, frankly, as a child and as a family, is something that we should all reflect on. I strongly support, Sir Roger, as other honourable members have said, the call for NHS England to engage in a meaningful dialogue with the drug company and to reach a fair settlement. But having sat in the Minister's place in the past, I can predict that what officials will be saying, this is no criticism of officials, we should stay out of this. It's not a matter for ministers. There shouldn't be political interference. We have a robust system which exists and is in place. Let that system take its course, because ministers may end up allowing perhaps human emotion or even politics and pressure from honourable members like us to make decisions that are not always consistent with what the relevant department wants them to make. Well, can I say to the Minister, this is nonsense. Ministers have a duty to intervene in circumstances like this, to be a facilitator and a convener, and to bring those parties round the table and say it's not acceptable for this situation to remain unresolved for very much longer. As my honourable friend said, we do not want to be back here in 6 months' time having a debate such as this in exactly the same set of circumstances. We've seen that many countries around the world have reached a different decision and made a different conclusion. They obviously believe that this drug makes a massive difference from a health and quality of life point of view and is also economically effective. So I say to the Minister today, please use your convening powers, your accountability to Parliament, the desires and the will of parliamentarians as expressed today, to apply immediate pressure to the relevant parties. Thank you, Sir Roger.
David Linden. It is a pleasure serving under your chairmanship. I want to start by thanking the 484 constituents in Glasgow East who signed the petition, and indeed to commend the mover of the motion, the honourable gentleman from Sutton and Cheam, and what I thought was an excellent speech. And he was very courteous actually in trying